On the day of my surgery, I waited anxiously for Rachel to show up and sign the consent forms. I waited from morning until noon. The doctor was getting impatient, but Rachel was still a no-show. I never thought she'd flake on me at a time like this. It all clicked when I saw her old flame Owens post on his social feed. The two of them were out having a blast, having completely forgotten about me. And just like that, everything became clear. I wasn't even surprised. My best friend, Alex, who I had to call to sign for me, looked at me with pity and said, "Leo, just let her go." I managed a small smile. Okay. In that one moment, I decided I was done loving her. Turns out that making that decision wasn't so hard after all. I had scheduled the surgery a week in advance, and to make things easier for Rachel, I'd specifically chosen a day she had off. Last month, when Owen had a fever, Rachel took 7 days off work to run around and take care of him. I blew up at her over it, but she was completely unapologetic. "Leo, can you stop being so paranoid? Owen and I are just friends. What's the big deal if I take care of him when he's sick?" Because of that, we gave each other the silent treatment for over half a month. A week ago, I had an acute gallbladder attack, and the doctor recommended surgery. Rachel was the one who asked me what day it was scheduled for. I knew she was trying to use this as an opportunity to patch things up between us. Every time we'd fought before, I was always the one to break the silence and make up first. This time, I refused to budge. I never expected her to use my illness as an excuse to reach out. To be honest, I thought she still had feelings for me. I figured her stubbornness and pride were the only things that had caused our problems in the past. I was genuinely touched that she was making the first move, so I made a point to schedule the surgery for her day off. But when I checked into the hospital yesterday, Rachel said she had to work overtime and would come sign the papers first thing in the morning. So I waited and waited. By noon, even the doctor was losing his patience. I had no choice but to call my coworker and best friend, Alex, to come sign for me. I must have looked so pathetic that Alex could barely look at me. Thinking back on my relationship with Rachel, she always had the upper hand. She ran hot and cold, always keeping me at arm's length. Her mood dictated my entire day. I felt like I'd completely lost myself a long time ago. But I always told myself this was just part of the effort, a sign of how deeply I loved her. In the end, though, I was the only one moved by my own devotion. Rachel never gave a damn about anything I did for her. This whole relationship, from start to finish, was just me being pathetically in love. Alex looked at me and said hesitantly, "Leo, just give up." I was looking at the latest update on Owen's feed. He'd posted a picture of a woman in a kitchen, cooking for him. The woman, seen from behind, was unmistakably my fiancée, Rachel. In that moment, I felt strangely calm. I smiled at Alex. Okay. I was in the hospital for 3 days, and Rachel never showed up. I didn't do what I used to do, call her nonstop, demanding to know what she was doing. I wasn't even sad. I knew why. It was because I really had stopped loving her. After I was discharged, I went straight home, took a shower and went to sleep. Late that night, I heard the door open. It was Rachel. In the past, I would have jumped out of bed and started a huge fight, demanding to know if she even cared about me at all. But now, all I wanted to do was sleep. Rachel seemed shocked to find me home and still in bed. She sat on the edge of the bed and gently nudged me. "Leo, are you asleep?" Her voice sounded tired, but what did that have to do with me? I kept my eyes shut, not wanting to open them. Rachel, for her part, waited patiently. Her patience with me usually lasted half an hour, tops. Sure enough, about 20 minutes later, Rachel slammed the door and left. Without the uncomfortable feeling of someone watching me, I quickly fell into a deep sleep and didn't wake up until noon the next day. After getting up, I washed up quickly and went to the kitchen to make myself a bowl of plain porridge. Even though it was a minimally invasive procedure, the incision still throbbed with a dull pain. I was in the middle of eating when Rachel came back. She glared at me with a dark expression, while I just smiled back at her. It was truly bizarre. I was the one who was sick, and she was the one who'd stood me up, so why was she looking at me like that? Was she mad that I hadn't started a fight with her? Give me a break. Arguing takes energy. I was a patient fresh out of surgery. Where was I going to find the strength to argue with her? Rachel's face was grim as she asked, "Aren't you going to ask me what I was doing?" I feigned surprise. "Weren't you taking care of Owen?" I saw his post. Rachel pressed on. "You're not mad?" "Why would I be mad? You've said it a million times. You and Owen are just friends." "I believe you." Rachel opened her mouth, then closed it again. Yeah, what could she possibly say? In the past, when I'd gotten angry about how close she was with Owen, she would always say with an impatient look, "Owen and I are just good friends." Why does your mind always have to go to the gutter? Can't a guy and a girl just be friends? Leo, seriously, stop being so gross. I'm your fiancé. If you can't even give me that much trust, what's the point of this relationship? Later, Rachel and Owen started spending more and more time together. It got to the point where even if I argued with her until my eyes were red, she'd just give me the cold shoulder, not even bothering to explain. She would just watch impassively as I flew into a rage, then say nothing, ignoring me completely until I couldn't take it anymore and came to her to admit I was wrong and apologize. Then, depending on her mood, she'd either complain about me for a bit or mock me, and the whole thing would be over. So now that I wasn't fighting or making a scene and was acting understanding, why did she look so lost? Shouldn't she be happy? I finally get it now. I've let it go. Thinking about how I used to get so consumed with jealousy, I'm sure I looked pathetic. No wonder Rachel always looked at me with such contempt. Looking back now, even I despised that version of myself who couldn't control his emotions. Seeing Rachel standing there speechless, I lowered my head and went back to my porridge. Rachel went into the kitchen on her own, then came out and looked at me. "You only made enough for yourself?" I nodded honestly. Rachel seemed a little angry. "What about me?" I was baffled. "I didn't know you were coming back. You can make your own. I just had surgery. I don't have the energy to cook for you." Rachel was about to protest, but when she heard me mention the surgery, she immediately shut up. She made herself a bowl of noodles and sat down across from me. Watching her sit down, I felt a wave of annoyance wash over me. I quickly finished the last of my porridge in a few gulps, got up, and walked away. Rachel finally lost it. She slammed her chopsticks on the table and yelled at me, "Leo, what the hell is your problem? You leave the second I sit down?" I calmly held up my empty bowl for her to see. "I'm finished. Besides, I'm not supposed to sit for too long." I think the look I gave her in that moment, full of impatience and contempt, was the same look she used to give me. Knowing she was in the wrong, Rachel insisted on taking the day off to stay home and take care of me. I used the excuse that I needed to rest after surgery and hid in the bedroom all day. I couldn't even be bothered to get up for the special meals she cooked for me at lunch and dinner. That evening, Rachel took a call, then came cautiously to the bedroom door. She whispered my name tentatively. "Leo? Leo?" I pretended to be asleep. Rachel started talking to herself. "Leo, I have to go out for a bit. Something came up with Owen. I remade some of your favorite dishes for dinner. They're on the table, so remember to eat." With that, Rachel rushed out of the house again. Not long after, Owen posted a picture on his feed of the huge home-cooked meal Rachel had brought him, with the caption, "Thanks to my best girl for coming all this way to bring me dinner and eating with me." I could vaguely see a woman sitting across from him, and on her wrist was the watch I had given her as a gift. I felt nothing. I got up, threw the food Rachel had made in the trash, and then ordered some takeout for myself. Rachel didn't come back until late that night. When she saw the food she'd cooked in the trash can, she couldn't help but fly into a rage. "Leo, I worked so hard to cook for you, and you just threw it all in the trash? What is that supposed to mean?" I looked at her, exhausted. "Rachel, can you please not be so unreasonable? I just got out of the hospital, and I'm still very weak. Can you just let me get some rest?" "Who's being unreasonable? You threw out my food. What the hell is that about?" "Rachel, I'm severely allergic to cilantro. Have you really forgotten that?" I asked her, my eyes cold and filled with deep disappointment. Rachel panicked. I continued, "So what does it mean when you put cilantro in every single dish?" Rachel tried to bluff her way out of it. "I forgot. Okay? Don't be mad. You could have just said something. Why did you have to throw it away behind my back? I didn't want to say another word. I lay down and went back to sleep. Rachel stared at me for a long time before quietly going to the other room. I rolled over comfortably and let out a long sigh of relief. A dreamless night of sleep. It was wonderful. Rachel and I started giving each other the silent treatment again. In the past, I would have been miserable. I would have tried everything to cheer her up, just to see her smile. But now I felt nothing. Not having to rack my brain to make Rachel happy felt like a long-lost freedom. With Rachel sleeping in the other room, I felt even more at ease. I no longer got up early to make her breakfast or had to do her laundry every day. I could sleep in for an extra hour, which was incredibly satisfying. After I went back to work, my mind wasn't constantly on Rachel. I didn't get anxious if she didn't reply to my texts within 10 minutes, and I certainly didn't pick huge fights with her for going out with her friends all the time. My work efficiency improved dramatically, and my daily routine became much more stable. I was starting to like this feeling. Today, Rachel texted me, saying she had a party tonight and wanted me to go with her. In the past, I would have jumped at the chance to make her look good, always insisting on paying the bill just to hear her friends say what a great guy I was. But now, I was done being the great guy. I texted back that I had to work late and couldn't make it. Then I checked into a hotel and rested for the night. When I woke up the next morning, I saw over 30 missed calls from Rachel and countless text messages. Leo, what's your problem? How could you be working this late? Leo, what is going on? If you're not coming, just say so. Before, one call from Rachel and I would have dropped everything to be by her side. But now, I figured I should probably focus more of my energy on myself. I sent a single reply, Rachel, I was exhausted last night. I had to work really late. For the first time ever, Rachel replied instantly. Leo, who are you trying to fool? My friend asked if we were fighting last night because you always used to show up. I laughed when I read the message. She was right. The old me definitely would have been at her party. Now, this is just how it is. I didn't reply again. I got up and went to work. When I got to the office, I learned there was some news. Management was looking for someone to go to the new office in the next state over to develop business. The pay and position would be a significant step up, a direct promotion. In all my years with the company, I'd never been proactive, so my position hadn't changed. I was always revolving around Rachel, and work was a low priority. Now, I wanted to make a change. I went into the general manager's office to ask about it, and soon enough I had locked in the transfer. After gathering a few things, I went home to grab my luggage and left directly for the neighboring state. That night, Rachel updated her social feed with a new photo. In the picture, she was holding a wine glass by herself, with a beautiful beach sunset in the background. On her wrist was the watch I'd given her last year. I calmly scrolled past the photo without reacting. I knew Rachel too well. She posted that picture to hint that I should hurry up and make up with her. It was her olive branch, but I had no intention of accepting it. Owen quickly liked Rachel's post and commented, "Let's grab a drink together." Probably because she got no reaction from me, Rachel replied instantly, "Okay." I pretended I didn't see it and kept scrolling through my feed, liking and commenting on other friends' posts. A little while later, Rachel's call came through. Leo, come home early after work. We can have dinner together. Or you could meet me after work, and we can go shopping and cook at home. Those were all lines I used to say. I was direct. No, I'm on a business trip. I'm in the next state over. It'll probably be at least a month before I'm back. There was a long silence on Rachel's end. Why didn't you tell me you were going on a business trip?
I replid, I forgot.
Is there anything else? If not, I'm gonna hang up. Rachel asked which hotel I was staying at, and I sent her the location. She said she would come find me after work. I refused several times, but Rachel ignored me and hung up. Around 10 p.m., Rachel messaged that she had arrived at the hotel. I gave her the room number, and she came up. When I opened the door, Rachel wasn't alone. Owen was standing right beside her. My expression didn't change as I gave them a small smile. Rachel looked a little awkward. Leo, Owen was worried about me traveling so far alone at night. He didn't have anything else to do, so he came along to see you. I nodded to show I understood. Owen tilted his head and smiled. See? I told you Leo wouldn't care if I came with you. He's not the jealous type. Besides, there's nothing going on between us. We're just good friends, right? Rachel stared at my face nervously, trying to read my expression. I knew she wasn't worried about me, she was worried that if I lost my temper, it would be embarrassing for Owen. In the past, I definitely would have made a scene. But not anymore. It occurred to me that I was, for all intents and purposes, still Rachel's boyfriend. We hadn't broken up yet. So, I smiled at Owen and said, "You're right. I'm not jealous. I'm happy you two are so close." Rachel looked at me with suspicion, but at the same time, she let out a sigh of relief. After all, we were in a hotel. A fight would look bad for everyone. Owen, however, raised his eyebrows in disbelief and continued to stir the pot. "Rachel, see? Leo's fine. We both have work tomorrow, right? Let's head back." Rachel hesitated. Owen reminded her, "The clients visiting the company tomorrow are crucial. We both have to be there." Hearing this, Rachel looked at me with a hint of apology in her eyes. She tried to hug me, but I dodged it. She told me to come home soon, then turned and left with Owen. I didn't see them out. I just closed the door. Of course, I didn't see Rachel turn back to look in my direction when she heard the door close. Her eyes filled with confusion. She asked Owen, "Owen, do you think something's off with Leo?" Owen's eyes flickered. "No, why?" Rachel said, "Leo would have always walked me downstairs before." But Owen cut her off with a laugh. "Leo's probably just tired. Don't be so sensitive. He must not be taking good care of you. Only insecure people get that sensitive." With that, he took Rachel's hand and led her away. I threw myself into my work. My productivity skyrocketed compared to before. I never replied to Rachel's messages instantly anymore, only sending a few simple responses each night. Whenever Rachel asked, I always had the same reason. I was busy. The month-long business trip ended quickly. When I got back to the main office, I was also notified of my promotion to supervisor. It was my first promotion since I started with the company. I was ecstatic and invited some colleagues out that night to celebrate. My coworkers were all surprised. After all, I used to revolve around Rachel and almost never joined them for gatherings. When we got to the restaurant, I was surprised to see Rachel was there too. She was also having dinner with her colleagues. They were teasing her and Owen, daring them to link arms and drink. As I walked in, I saw that exact scene. Their arms intertwined, heads tilted back as they drank. My colleagues had met Rachel before, and when they saw this, they all turned to look at me. Rachel's colleagues knew me too. The moment they saw me, they awkwardly tried to get her attention. Rachel walked over to me, a flustered look on her face. Owen shouted, "Leo, we were playing truth or dare. Rachel and I lost, so we had to link arms and drink. It's just a game, don't take it seriously." I smiled. "Why would I? It's just a drink. It's not like you two got married behind my back." Owen nudged Rachel. "See? Leo doesn't mind. It's just a game." I bet Leo has played his fair share of games with his coworkers too. I cut him off without hesitation. I've hardly ever gone out with my coworkers. Owen, if you're going to make accusations, at least get your facts straight. Besides, my colleagues and I would never do something with such poor boundaries as linking arms to drink. We have more class than that. Owen shot back. "What's that supposed to mean? If you have a problem with us playing a game, just say it. What's with the passive-aggressive jabs?" I just smiled. "Why are you so worked up?" I said I don't mind, and I mean it. You just linked arms for a drink. It's not like you got married. And even if you did, I wouldn't mind. I just wish you a lifetime of happiness. After that, I led my colleagues to the private room we had reserved. Rachel tried to grab me, but I cut her off before she could speak. "Rachel, we're in public. A scene would look bad for both of us. Are you sure you want to do this here?" Rachel immediately froze. Owen was still running his mouth. Rachel spun around and yelled at Owen. "Shut up." Owen was stunned. "Rachel, how can you yell at me in front of all these people? No, you have to apologize to me. If you don't apologize, I'll never speak to you again. Rachel, we've been friends for so many years. Can't I even joke around? Besides, this isn't the first time. Rachel roared. I told you to shut up. Didn't you hear me? Owen was completely dumbfounded. While they were bickering, I quickly made my way to the second floor, leaving them behind. Rachel was calling my name from behind me, but I pulled out my phone and pretended to be on a call, acting like I hadn't heard her. At the party, no one mentioned what had just happened, probably not wanting to make me feel awkward. I acted like nothing was wrong and had a great time. Turns out that when you don't spend all your time on Rachel, the world is a much better place. Rachel texted me, Leo, we're done. I'm waiting downstairs for you. What time will you be finished? I didn't want my coworkers to see me tangled up with her, so I replied, don't wait. I won't be done for a while. You should just go home. But Rachel insisted, I don't care how late it is. I'll wait for you. I rolled my eyes and motioned to my colleagues, who were about to leave to have another round. A few of the quicker ones seemed to catch on and were happy to stay and keep drinking with me. I kept it going until I absolutely couldn't anymore, and then we finally called it a night. When we all went downstairs, sure enough, there was Rachel, waiting alone by the entrance. My colleagues awkwardly greeted her, and Rachel naturally came over and wrapped her arm around my waist. It made my skin crawl, because that was the same arm that had been wrapped around Owen's just a little while ago. Pulled away. After my coworkers left, I finally spoke. Okay, they're all gone. You can stop pretending now. For once, Rachel didn't get angry. She tried again to explain the linked arms drink. Leo, it was just my coworkers teasing us. And besides, I yelled at them afterward. It won't happen again. I just nodded. All I wanted was to go home and rest. At this point, I really didn't care. In the taxi, I watched Rachel's face as she slept, drunk. Time hadn't left a mark on her. She was as beautiful as ever. Even though I had decided to stop loving her, I had to admit, Rachel was a truly remarkable woman. She had been since college. When we first got together, all my dorm mates were jealous that I had landed the campus belle. Back then, we were truly in love. Even though I knew Rachel had confessed to an upperclassman and been rejected, I never let it bother me. That upperclassman was Owen. At the time, I even wondered how anyone could reject a girl as amazing as Rachel. But I was glad Owen had turned her down, or else how would I have ever gotten together with her? We graduated together, stayed in the city together, found jobs together, and built a life together. I loved her so much that I chose an apartment close to her work. She was thoughtful too. We bought a car together, and she said that since my commute was longer, I should be the one to drive it. I haven't driven that car in a long time. Why? Because Owen came to work at her company and became her subordinate. Owen lived even farther away. Without even asking me, Rachel lent him the car. She said Owen was a friend, and we should help him if we could. After all, his commute on the subway was an hour and a half. I didn't say anything. My commute on the subway was also an hour and a half. Ever since Owen reappeared in Rachel's life, our arguments became more frequent. One call from Owen, and Rachel would drop everything no matter what. She would even stand me up on the day of my surgery. My heart had turned to stone. I didn't care about her anymore. When we were almost home, Rachel woke up. We went upstairs, one after the other. I went straight into the master bedroom and closed the door. Surprisingly, Rachel didn't make a fuss. She just went to the guest room to sleep. I slept wonderfully. The next morning, I was woken up by the sound of Rachel on the phone in the living room. It sounded like her parents were coming to visit her. Honestly, Rachel and I had never met each other's parents. I had tried to talk to Rachel about marriage once, and she had almost agreed. But ever since Owen showed up, all our plans were put on hold. Meeting the parents, getting engaged, getting married, it all became a distant dream. Rachel never brought it up again, and every time I did, she would just brush it off. I pulled out the custom suit I had hidden away in a corner. I'd secretly ordered it after testing the waters with Rachel. But on the very day I picked up the suit, Rachel went to the airport to pick up Owen. Owen started working at her company, and from that day on, everything changed. Rachel and I started arguing constantly, giving each other the silent treatment until my gallbladder surgery. When Rachel ditched me to spend 7 days by Owen's side while he had a fever, my heart went cold, and I finally woke up. Looking at this suit now felt like a joke. I carelessly tossed the suit back into the corner. I walked out of the room and cut Rachel off before she could speak. Rachel, my company needs me for a last-minute business trip. It'll be about 2 weeks. Rachel was stunned. Do you have to go? My parents are coming to see me. I wanted to introduce you to them. I was completely unconcerned. There's plenty of time to meet parents, but a promotion opportunity can disappear in a flash. Rachel's expression soured. She must have remembered. Those were the exact words she had said to me when my parents came to visit. Now I was just returning them to her. I quickly packed my bags and moved into a hotel near my office. For the next few days, Rachel was busy showing her parents around and taking them shopping. She posted 9 photo collages every time, looking like she was having a great time. Every picture showed her with a huge smile. This afternoon, she posted another photo of the 3 of them. I glanced at it before heading to a nearby mall for lunch. But as fate would have it, it was just that coincidental. As I walked into the restaurant, I immediately saw Rachel, her parents, and the person who hadn't been in the photos. Owen. Owen saw me too and called out my name loudly. Leo, you're back from your trip. Why didn't you say anything? Come on over. Let me introduce you. These are Rachel's parents, here to visit her. Since you weren't around, I had to play tour guide. I've been showing them around all week. Rachel was worried you'd get the wrong idea, so she told me not to post anything on my feed. I looked at Rachel with a sarcastic smile. At that moment, she looked like she'd been caught red-handed. Her face was flushed, and she was struggling to stay calm, her eyes pleading with me. But why would I ever make a scene with her in public? I just smiled at the 2 older people sitting at the table. Hello, sir, ma'am. I'm a friend of Rachel's. My name is Leo. When Rachel heard how I introduced myself, her face turned even paler. Owen, however, played dumb. Leo, aren't you Rachel's boyfriend? Why would you say you're just friends? Did you 2 break up? No way. If you broke up, you're still living together? Isn't that a little inappropriate? I just smiled and said nothing. Rachel, furious, hissed at Owen to get lost. Owen's throat bobbed, but he didn't say a word. Just as I was about to leave, Rachel suddenly looked at me. Leo, you weren't on a business trip, were you? You were just avoiding me, right? I sighed, deciding it was time to be clear with her. Rachel, we need to talk. But Rachel quickly cut me off. My parents are here. I don't want them to worry. Can we talk after they leave, please? I nodded, turned around, and went back to the hotel. Since I had already taken the time off, I decided to find a new apartment. After all, I was going to break up with Rachel in a couple of days, and that apartment was just too far from my office. It was better to find something nearby. I got lucky and found a place that afternoon with a great location, price, and layout. I signed the lease without hesitation, planning to move in after I broke up with Rachel. Over the next few days, I started buying things and moving them over bit by bit so I wouldn't be overwhelmed later. But several days passed, and Rachel still hadn't contacted me. Had her parents not left yet? I couldn't rush her, so I just had to wait patiently. Another half a month went by, and Rachel still said her parents hadn't gone back home. She would occasionally send me texts asking how I was, which I mostly ignored. Lately, the receptionist at my office had been calling me every day to tell me that the lunch my girlfriend had sent had arrived again. Looking at the lunch box, I decided it was time to go back. Dragging this out wasn't going to solve anything. I knew Rachel didn't want to break up with me, but I truly didn't love her anymore. I decided to have a serious talk with her. When I got back to the apartment, sure enough, Rachel's parents were gone. Rachel was sitting there, drinking from a half-empty bottle of hard liquor by herself. I sighed and started cleaning up the messy apartment. Rachel watched me nervously. When I was done, I sat down across from her. Rachel, we need to talk. Rachel's expression suddenly turned frantic. She stopped me before I could continue, saying she wasn't feeling well and needed to go out to buy some medicine. She said we could talk when she got back. I nodded. I waited and waited, but Rachel never came back. Instead, I got a call from Owen. On the phone, Owen said Rachel was in the hospital and that I should get there right away. By the time I arrived at the hospital, Owen was standing over Rachel's hospital bed, making passive-aggressive remarks. Leo is such a piece of work. Rachel, you broke your leg, and he's only finding out now. You haven't been home for days, and he didn't even call you once. Does he even have you in his heart? Rachel was just staring into space on the hospital bed, as if she hadn't heard a word Owen said. When I walked in, Rachel's face lit up with a look of joy and gratitude. Leo, you're here. Owen continued his tirade about how I was terrible at taking care of people. I just nodded. You're right, I'm not good at it. So thank you for taking care of Rachel while she's been in the hospital. With that, I turned to leave, but Rachel called out to me. Leo, can't you stay and keep me company? I turned back. I can't stay with you, but at least I came, right? I talked to the doctor. It's a dislocation. You don't need surgery, you don't even need to be admitted, and you don't need anyone to sign any forms. If you're really worried, you can stay for observation for a couple of days. Rachel, we really need to have a serious talk. Rachel shook her head, not wanting to listen. Can we talk after I'm discharged? Please? I sighed and had no choice but to agree. In that case, I'll start moving my things out these next 2 days. I'll be moving out of the apartment. I've already found a new place. Rachel looked at me with pleading eyes. Do we have to do this? Owen yelled from the side. Leo, are you even human? Rachel is injured, and you're still throwing a tantrum like a spoiled brat? I couldn't be bothered with him. I turned and left. Rachel should have known. When I was in the hospital waiting for her to sign the papers, she could stand me up without a word. The fact that I even came to the hospital this time was more than generous. The next day, Rachel was discharged. When I got to her place, she had already cooked a full table of food. She invited me to eat with her, and I didn't refuse. I sat at the table but didn't pick up my chopsticks. Rachel, let's break up. The hand Rachel was using to serve food froze, and her eyes flickered. Why? Is it because I didn't show up to sign for your gallbladder surgery? I'm sorry. I thought about it afterward, and it was a really terrible thing to do. It will never happen again. Leo, can you forgive me? Rachel's voice trembled. I was a bit surprised. The normally cold and proud Rachel was suddenly acting so differently, even apologizing to me. But I was unmoved. The damage was done a long time ago. Rachel, I don't love you anymore. When Rachel heard those words, she stood up excitedly. That's impossible. How could you not love me? You used to try to make me happy, you'd cook my favorite foods, you'd do my laundry, and this. Rachel pulled out the custom suit. You even had this suit made. You were going to marry me. How could you not love me? Weren't we supposed to meet each other's parents, get engaged, and get married? How could you not love me anymore? You're just mad, right? Is it because of Owen? We really are just friends. Is it because I paid more attention to him than to you? Because I lent him the car, because I was always with him, because I cared about him more than I cared about you? You're angry about that, right? Leo, I won't do it anymore. Can we get back together? Please? Leo, you had the suit made. How can you not love me anymore? I looked at the suit, reached out for it, then went to the kitchen and got a pair of scissors. As Rachel stared in disbelief, I cut it to pieces. The crisp suit lay in shreds on the floor. I said, you see, Rachel, you know what you did was wrong, so why did you keep doing it? You know you cared more about Owen than you cared about me. Rachel, just because something is always there doesn't mean it will be there forever. Just like this suit, it can be destroyed right in front of your eyes. Rachel, let's break up. I don't love you, and I don't want you anymore. After saying that, I got up to pack the last of my things. While I was in the room packing my luggage, Rachel sat on the sofa, lost in thought. Owen arrived. He was dragging a suitcase and announced loudly as he walked in. Rachel, I've come to you for refuge. You have a spare bedroom, right? Can you put me up for a few days? I'll move out as soon as I find a suitable place. Wow, Rachel, you cooked all this food. Did you know I was coming? These are all my favorite dishes. Well, don't mind if I do. Before Rachel could even react, Owen had grabbed a pair of chopsticks and started eating. Rachel shot up from the sofa and slapped the chopsticks out of Owen's hand. She seemed to have lost all composure, screaming hysterically. "Who said you could eat that? Who gave you permission?" Owen was dumbfounded. "Rachel, we're old friends. Is it really such a big deal if I have a bite of food?" Rachel pointed furiously at the door and roared, "Who let you into my house? Get out. Get out right now." Owen was confused. "Rachel, what's wrong with you? Seeing you like this, how can I leave with a clear conscience?" I had finished packing and walked out of the room with my suitcase. The moment Owen saw me, he went into his usual routine. "Leo, did you make Rachel angry again? Look at her. Look at what you've done to her. Aren't you going to apologize? Do you even know how to be a boyfriend? I can't imagine what Rachel has been through all these years. How much she must have suffered because of you." I just smiled, completely unbothered. "You're right, she has suffered. But starting today, she doesn't have to suffer anymore. Goodbye, Rachel. Oh, and by the way, I really can't eat any of this food. I'm severely allergic to cilantro, something you never seem to care about." I walked out with my suitcase, and behind me, I could hear Rachel screaming at Owen to get out. I had finally ended this draining relationship. Looking up at the sky, even it seemed brighter. The company sent me to the branch office again to oversee business. This time, I was gone for half a year. When I returned to the main office, the receptionist handed me a package. I took it and opened it. Inside was the suit I had thrown away, now perfectly mended and looking brand new. There was also a letter inside. "Leo, I fixed the suit. Can we start over?" The receptionist told me that Rachel had been waiting for me outside in her car every day after work, staying until late into the night. After work today, I saw the car, and standing beside it was Rachel. Right in front of her, I threw the suit into the trash can, then turned and walked away. Behind me, Rachel's face fell. "See? Not loving someone really isn't that hard."